Hey y'all, it's a wrap here, but not quite yet, because this is a really tough video for me to make, because it touches on the taboo subject of men having emotions. Yes, you heard that right, men having emotions. They don't, do they? You're wrong, they do. And that's a problem for our society, apparently. Our society doesn't like that. And that's something that I'm here to challenge. I don't understand why, whenever a guy cries in public or shows any kind of fear or weakness, society outcasts him, kicks him out. People laugh, people ridicule, people will exclude you, they'll act like you don't exist. That just happened to me today. I got a little emotional at something, and then everyone all of a sudden is patronizing me and no, it's okay, buddy, you don't do that. My emotions as a guy are never taken seriously. Maybe women, maybe women feel the same way. Do they? I don't know. Maybe. But I think it's different for men. For women, showing emotion is expected, almost too expected. But other people are more receptive to it, in my opinion. Feel free to disagree, but if a woman cries in public, right, you know what would happen. People would walk up to her, people would console her. What's wrong? What's wrong, honey? Are you okay? And it's better than a guy. If a guy cries in public, though, people assume that he's a desperate creep or something. And that's the different dynamic between. Sorry, it's 4 a.m. That's a different dynamic between men showing emotions and women showing emotions, is that when a woman does it, people are receptive and people assume women have feelings. Women are human in that way. But when a guy shows emotions, it's oh, he's weak, he's this, he's that, right? And now, I'm not saying that women have it better, because they don't, obviously. Women are objectified and stuff in the society. It's pretty bad. I get that too. I'm not discluding that, but I'm saying in terms of emotions, right? Just like I said, when a woman shows fear or cries or something, people care. When a woman is interested in somebody or disinterested in somebody, you bet, especially if she looks good, all the guys in the room are watching her, oh, she likes him, she likes him, she likes him. But it's when a guy isn't interested in somebody, nobody cares. And I think that also touches on the subject, the thing in the society that I've come to define the term of disposable men. I call it disposable men, DM, disposable men. And that, what I mean by that is, in this culture, whether it's patriarchy or just kind of the halo effect going in women's favor, men tend to be kind of discarded and thrown away. And as a guy, I've experienced, just in my daily interactions with people, a lot of the time, people immediately, I'll walk up to somebody, they'll immediately suspect me I've done something wrong. Or I'm up to no good. People are very cautious and suspicious just because you're a guy. Just because you exist, people get offended by you. There was one time I was in an airport, and there was an escalator, and I was walking up, and there's a lady coming down, and just walking by, and she had her kid in her arms. She's like, don't touch my kid. Don't come in here. What did I do? I glanced at her. I walked by her. Yeah, and also the way men are treated in this society is that there's a lot of underlying kind of passive aggressiveness, you could call it. Versus, I think with women are treated with a lot more sympathy, especially by other women. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I think. And just thinking this hurts a lot. Sorry, I'm fidgeting. I'm tired. But you get my point. I think that, I don't know. I'm trying to think of how to explain it, but I can't explain the deep down feeling and knowing that nobody cares about you. As a woman, maybe a little bit more, maybe not, maybe. But as a guy, you know, this society doesn't care about you. This society will throw you away. Especially in the olden days, in patriarchy, when that was running strong. Men go to the front lines and die. You die. You're gone. And it's considered an honor to like die, to be thrown away. Versus the always got to protect the women and children. Get the women and children. Women and children. How often do you hear that? For a while, I worked as a cashier at a grocery store, and they had these special programs for young women who were having a hard time on their own, and the special like cards, and the cash registers had a special mode for that. There was nothing for a guy. The guy was having a hard time. He was alone. But there, I forget what it was called, what it stood for, but there was this thing where a woman could get like money off or something if she qualified, she was like a certain age or a certain income or status or something. Only women, not men. There's women's abuse shelters, there's women's domestic shelters, but you never hear about the men's shelters. You never hear about men's struggles, men's issues. It's never mentioned or talked about. And I think that has to do with the fact, like I said, it's men are expected to be emotionless robots. Men are expected by women to be tough. Men are expected to be this brute force. And whenever men show any other emotion, even happiness, even if you smile, people will ridicule and be like, "Why are you smiling?" It's like you just know, like you're only expected as a guy, your only duty is to look angry or to look stoic. And then men act that way, and that only fuels the fire even more, because then it keeps the cycle going. But yeah, I mean, it's so painful. When I was younger, I felt that way, kind of like I felt this underlying tone in the way I was treated by adults, even if I behaved well and everything. But like men are pigs, like that kind of treatment, that you just get that undertone in the way they talk to you, like they always think you're disgusting, a little bit more disgusting, just a little more unruly than the girls. You're never as smart as them. You're never as good as them. You're never this. You're never that, right? And all the girls get all the praise. She's so independent. She's so smart. She's all this and she's all that. Why can't you be like that? Oh, because men mature slower than women. Because guys are a little less socially advanced. It's not too bad, but a little less socially advanced, yeah. Oh, well, that really hurt my feelings, Mom. I didn't say anything. I think men are a little less advanced, so what? It's not a big deal. Man up. Stop showing emotion. Stop being hurt by things. So, in response to that kind of treatment, because that's not going to stop happening. If I have, you know what, from now on, if I have to cry, if I have an emotion in public or something, I'm going to show it. I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to care. Other people are going to ridicule me. Other people are going to do this. Other people are going to do that. But it doesn't matter. I mean, women, you cry around a girl and she walks away. You could have a girl who's talking to you and likes you and everything, right? And you cry, or you show some kind of weakness and you're not this assertive dude or whatever, and all of a sudden she doesn't talk to you, she like ignores you. And that happens a lot to a lot of men. I've seen it happen. It's happened to me. And yeah, well, I'm really unhappy with that trend in the way our society does that. What I wish for is that this society would take men's emotions seriously and men's health seriously, and think of all the things that men contribute. Men and women should be on equal playing fields. Forget the feminism that they're talking about running around screaming and burning thing. That's not true feminism. What they're trying to do is they're trying to make women superior to men. That's not okay. And that's not true. What it should be, and the true definition of feminism, not the one that we've seen on the media, true feminism is where women are equal to men, the same playing field, with no disadvantage. And at this point in our society, I'm starting to think that we've either reached that point or we've surpassed it. Like, we've gotten past that point by now. Women have so much overwhelming support. Women have so much people. I mean, there's always, if a woman walks, I mean, I haven't even started on the way the court bias is yet, but if a woman walks out into the street crying and there's a guy walking after her, even if he's being well-intentioned and nice, people will automatically assume that the guy did something to her. Oh, did he hit you? We'll call the police. We'll go shoot him. We'll go beat him up. Is that what you want? Yeah. But now, let's say a guy is walking out into the street and crying, and his girlfriend is yelling or hitting him or something, and people will just assume he's a weakling. Why don't you take it? She can't do any damage to you. Why don't you take it? And something that goes unnoticed in our society as well is that men are also victims of rape. Men are victims of domestic violence. Men are victims of domestic emotional abuse and stuff too. But I think what happens is when a man calls the police or something on a girl, the man, and I've heard it happen in stories before, but the man ends up being the one suspected of wrong, even if he did nothing wrong. If a guy calls the police on his girlfriend for breaking stuff, they're going to arrest him. And that's happened so many times. It's unbelievable. So if I were to, and I'm in college, so if I were to go into class tomorrow and cry, how many women would think less of me for that? A lot. And I know that. But what happens when life gets hard? What are you supposed to do? Bottle it up? Well, that's what men do. Men don't show emotions because nobody likes it. Nobody's accepting. We're taught from a very young age to be stoic. And if you're not stoic, you're weak. And if you're weak, you're not worth anything. You're useless. Women treat men that way, and other men treat men that way. So why do you think men have higher violence? Men have higher rates of suicide, violence, crime, and everything. Why do you think? Well, I'll tell you what I think. I think that's a lot of it has to do with desperation and the fact that men are taught from almost birth to bottle up their emotions to a point where they overflow and cause men to do these terrible crimes. And I'm not saying women don't do those crimes, but the rate, it's an unfortunate statistic that men do that stuff a little bit more, I admit. But look at why they might be doing it. Like, it doesn't mean men are these monsters. Society makes men into monsters. We're not monsters. We're people who have so much emotions and so much pain all built up from years and years of emotional neglect by everyone around us. What are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? That's what happens. You see these 30-something-year-olds who grew up in hard times, and they always talk, they're quote-unquote alphas. They act badass, they talk hood talk, all this stuff. Why do you think they do that? They're afraid of showing weakness. Because if they act normal and show weakness, they're not man enough, they're not cool enough. If they don't objectify women, if they don't act all macho and masculine and everything, then they don't think they're real men. So they do this stuff, and the pressure gets so great that and the social pressures and everything, and it leads to them doing terrible crimes like murder and rape and all kinds of violence. So I think a solution and something that could lower the crime rate in our society by a lot, especially at least the male crime rate, is to treat men's emotions better and to take them seriously, to give men the support that they need in order to be emotionally healthy. That, because, like I said, I'm going to reiterate what I said before. I think part of the reason men have such high rates of violence and crime is because they have all this emotion bottled up in them and it spills over. And a lot of these terrible, terrible criminals were good people who had a moment where they broke. They were pushed to their limit. And I still haven't mentioned the court bias, which I'll mention last. But something really shocking and scary is the life expectancy of men overall. And it's estimated anywhere between 8 to 15 years less. Men live on average 8 to 15 years less of a natural life than women do. And people blame it on all sorts of things. People think it's biology, like people like Jordan Peterson, they make it out like men's only purpose is to spread their seed and this and that and be alphas. It's garbage. It's the most hurtful thing I've ever heard. I think part of the reason that men live for such drastically shorter lifespans in our society is because of the way men's emotions are treated. And the way men are treated, generally, men treat themselves in the way men are treated in society as a whole. Men are treated with so much, it's so much rougher out there. Men's emotions aren't listened to. Men have a lot more stress. Men are generally the primary breadwinners of the household. Not saying that rearing up a child is easy, because it's not easy at all. It's very daunting. I work with kids, so it is very, very difficult. I'm not undermining the woman at all, but I'm saying the man, he goes out, he's risking his life more, for sure, versus staying at home and taking care of kids. He's driving, going to the military, working construction. Look at the labor statistics. A lot of the manual, heavy labor, most of it's done by men. And I think that is one of the reasons is because men are expected to be tough and macho. And they're trying to fill that social mold. Now, another thing that I said I would mention last is the court cases and the court bias towards men. And that's a huge, huge problem even in our society today. And it's that in this society, when a man and a woman are married, and first of all, when they're married, the woman, I forget exactly what the statistic was, but it was something like 40% more likely. The woman was at least like 35 or 40% more likely to divorce the guy, or to initiate the divorce. And there's all kinds of stories. There's a term, gold digger. What do you think? Part of it is women just chasing men for their riches, but also another application for a gold digger is when a woman marries a rich guy, a good-looking girl marries, because a guy will go with a girl if she's good-looking. It's just a given. That's kind of how it is. But these women will marry, and they'll only marry and date up, and they'll get this rich guy, right? And they'll make everything look good, and they'll set everything up for a few years, right? And then they'll initiate a divorce. And in that divorce settlement, she claims his house, she claims his business, she claims his job, and she takes the kids. And she knows the court is biased in her favor, and I think the reason the court is biased in her favor is because the court sees women as more innocent than men. And that is partly a result of the statistics. So it's kind of an endless cycle. It's a self-sustaining cycle, in a way. And yeah, I'm not sure the exact of the numbers on that, on the percentage of wives winning the divorce stuff over men, but I'm almost positive it's much, much higher. The woman is so much more likely to get the kids and everything. The woman is so much more likely to be seen as the victim, even if she isn't the victim, if she's the perpetrator. And women know this, and women take advantage of this every day. I'm not demonizing women, but I'm saying some women there's always bad apples in every gender and every category of everything. There's bad people and good people. But um, women know, the ones that want to take advantage can. They know that and they will. And that's something that needs to be changed. So a solution to all these problems, like to sum it up, basically a solution to all these problems would be to start taking men's emotions seriously and to allow men to express themselves and their emotions properly. And that would lead to, the first thing that would do is that would lead to men not bottling up their emotions so much that they spill over into terrible crime rates. So it would lower the crime rate for sure. Guess what lowering the crime rate would do? That would make men stop being seen as monsters as much, right? If men weren't seen as monsters as much, the court system would slowly, people's idea of men would slowly change and they'd stop being so demonized. And also, the women wouldn't be able to take as much of advantage of men if that were the case. If the court was if the court was truly even, so that would mean that the victim and perpetrator thing might be more accurate too. The man might be more likely to get the kids. The man might be more likely to keep his business when his wife bails on him and tries to take it all and stuff. Yeah, and yeah, it would. I mean, a lot of our problems are, caused by this emotional neglect towards men. And men do have an influence in our society. Men have a big role in our society as well as women do. So if men were taken seriously, think of how much better our society would be as a whole. And that's my conclusion on that subject. But now I want to tell you a little story about something that I heard. A story a while ago. I was listening to some Ask Reddit. I think it was Ask Reddit on YouTube. And that's pretty good. You should check that out. They have a lot of interesting content. But I was listening to a story on Ask Reddit about this lady who, I believe, trying to recall the details because that was a while ago that I heard this, but it was in a parking lot and a guy was with his child. I believe it was his daughter or something. And there was a lady there that like kidnapped or tried to snatch his daughter, right? And then when he tried to get his daughter back, she started screaming, "This guy's trying to take my kids, and this guy's trying to do this, and this guy's trying to attack me and everything." And guess what the people did? They immediately jumped on the guy and beat him up. And the guy's daughter ended up being sent with the lady. And only after like a long, horrible court thing and everything, and DNA tests and everything, only then did they realize and even take the guy seriously that, hey, this is actually the guy's child and not the woman's child. And you might have heard that story or something. It was a while ago, but I know you could find it somewhere and recall the details better than I can. But that's the gist of what I'm saying. So yeah, that's my spiel on men and emotions. And thanks for watching. If you agree or if you disagree, it's fine. Leave a comment and if you want. And peace.